One of the things I asked you, I think it was last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, and
I think it was earlier this week.
I'll be honest, I feel like an asshole because then I went and did it myself and realized how hard this was.
Yep.
I asked you, and I didn't. I was doing it myself, and I'm like I said, I was editing this list up until I called you. I asked you to come with your top 5 horror films for you. And I know you came with your top 5. You said I have a top 5. There are going to be caveats. There are going to be honorable mentions, and I was like, good, because I have some too. So with with that said, give me your top 5.
Okay. So I'm going to start with number 5 and work my way down to number 1.
Okay.
And you're going to judge me.
I can't say
But
shit. Trust me.
okay. Friday the 13th, part 6 through 8. So part 6 is Jason Lives, with 1986. I think that is probably my favorite movie of all of them. But part 7, New Blood, and part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, is so ratchet. You gotta love it.
Oh, I remember the Jason. I saw
You
Jason Takes Manhattan not too long ago.
know,
Yeah.
it's on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
It's all on a boat. Oh yeah. And so yeah, and these were like, well, to me the scariest, because you had Jason consistently. Although like oh, there are so many people that have played Jason, but the most intimidating and scary Jasons were the Jason from Part 6, who is played by C.J. Graham. I think he was a stunt person, but he was also in the Marine Corps. Um, and that opening scene where like those people are driving down the road and they come across, Jason. Um, there's a point to where he like tries to spear the lady through the windshield. So him being weapons trained actually almost hit her because he's trained to hit targets. I thought that was particularly entertaining.
So he almost killed somebody, basically.
Yeah, and he was really scary to watch on screen. And then of course Kane Hodder, the Jason goat, like dude. If I met him today, I would be scared. I would not even bother to say hi or anything. But he definitely like made Jason scary as hell to me. Um, and going on, number 4, Candyman.
Yeah, we talked about this.
So Candyman was one of those movies that freaked me out so bad as a kid. Like I was avoiding mirrors, like, which is just as well because I was a tomboy and was into Blossom, so I really didn't care what I looked like. I really didn't. And then the music for it was so creepy. Like I recently downloaded the soundtrack to it, and I can listen to it. But back then, like if I heard those opening tones of the piano from Candyman,
Mm-hmm.
man, I start to turn white.
See, the thing about Candyman and even like films like that is you can go you're in a house by yourself. You have a mirror, and you're like, what's the worst going to happen? And your mind starts playing tricks on you, going, that's not
Hmm.
real. So those films, those kind of films they can get to you. They don't seem like they
Hmm.
will, but they can add up.
Yeah, and we could have a whole show on Candyman because I watched that recently, and I have some like thoughts and conclusions, and yeah,
Yeah, we'll have to do
I won't
Candyman.
go farther. I'll probably have to talk to you
Okay, yeah, we'll have to do
off
Candyman.
show about that one because Candyman has a particularly interesting history.
Hmm.
And I think if possible, that would be a fun one just to concentrate on, and or maybe live watch and crack jokes at. Who knows?
Or both.
Number 3, A Nightmare on Elm Street, parts 1, 2, and 3,
I'm noticing a trend with you.
and skip everything else and New Nightmare. So, you have the classic one. The second one, Freddy's Revenge, where it's a new protagonist. It's not Nancy or Heather Langenkamp, and it also has really strong gay vibes,
Hmm.
which I really didn't pick up on until much later. but I still thought that one was scary. It was a bit more dark than the first one was. Then part three, Dream Warriors, awesome movie. Wes Craven came back for that. And my part four, New Nightmare, which came out in 1994. So those are my favorite of the Nightmare on Elm Street series films. So that is the true, what do you call it? Well, it's not a trilogy when there's four. Quadruple?
I don't even know.
Those are the
Franchise?
four films of the franchise I fuck with. Okay, so this next movie, I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but I just happened to be at home watching this, by myself. Um, and this movie got me fucked up. Like I could not go to sleep after watching this movie. But it's called The Serpent and the Rainbow from 1988. It's another Wes Craven movie, and it's like set in Haiti. And it just so happened that there was a lot of political turmoil happening at the time that they shot the movie in Haiti. So there's some real life politics happening on screen in the background. But the story itself is fascinating, and it will, like, your balls will just run off and go into another room and shut the door.
Oh, wow.
It's so scary. Oh, but yeah, so this guy is looking for like an aesthetic to use for surgery and everything, but they want people to be able to kind of like be lucid enough to talk and everything, but not be able to feel any pain. And so he goes to Haiti to investigate this case of a guy who is apparently a zombie, and he tries to track down the voodoo doctor who put the concoction together and allegedly zombified this man. And so that is the premise of the movie. I'm not going to say anything more than that other than go watch it. Wherever you can find it, watch it with the lights on.
I'm gonna have to find that. And now I'm interested. I've never heard
good.
of that one.
Yeah, it's good. All right. Now my number one. Don't even know how to preface this, but I think it's pertinent. And thinking just in the context of, history and, what's going on, just black people getting gunned down for no reason and attacked for no reason. I kind of had to change my number one. And my new number one is American Psycho. This is a fucking scary movie.
Yeah.
Because white man's the ultimate monster. And this movie is the very embodiment of that. So you can't get any scarier than this.
He really gets away with it because of white privilege for so long.
Yes. And he's rich. Mm-hmm. Who's going to touch him? Mm-hmm. Like, really? And the thing is, living in Washington, D.C., there are a lot of these kinds of sociopaths, I'm sure, around here. Mm-hmm. And if I should happen to like one of these guys, that could be my ass running down the stairs with a chainsaw chasing after me to Whitney Houston. So I'm just like, this could possibly cut a little too close to home.
Oh, man. No, you're right. That
American Psycho is horrifying.
It is. Because, again, he gets away with it because he's so charming.
He gets away with it because he's white.
Well, that too. He's charming and white. Deadly combination right there.
Monster.
Deadly combination right there.
Absolute monster. So yeah, that is my top 5. I have some honorable mentions.
Okay.
And the first one goes to The People Under the Stairs. Yes. It's very good. That's the one that has Ving Rhames in it, and that kid that played like little Michael Jackson in the Bad video. Mm-hmm. He was in other stuff, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Scream. Had to give that a shout out. I remember being like super scared of that. And I think that came out when I was in middle school. Saw.
The first one.
The first one.
Okay.
I really haven't seen the other one, so I would like to do all the Saw series.
Maybe the
because it
first
goes more
two.
into like the story, and I guess more about the. Apparently, it's a big old circle, and so it goes more into like the main character's motivations for why he chooses people, and why he sets up these traps for them specifically.
Hmm.
But I'm going to cut all that out and just go with the first one because it was so scary and it was novel that it stuck with you. Like
Right.
that little thing on the tricycle. Nope,
Yeah.
nope. And Reanimator, you still have to watch this.
Oh
You need to
yes,
watch this.
I do.
And then the last one is The Return of the Living Dead.
You know what? That was actually on today. I believe that was
What?
on Chiller today, and I was gonna watch it, but I didn't.
I love this movie. Like this is when you actually have zombies that can talk.
Hmm.
Like they actually scream brains. And no. These are the most talking ass zombies ever. Like they were ordering up cops like Chinese food. Like send more cops. Like really? And then they were just oh my god. Yeah. So those zombies, best zombies ever.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I love the Night of the Living Dead ones are always they're so good. What's the one where they're in the bunker and they're the scientists are trying to teach the one to speak or something like that. What
Oh,
is
Day of the Dead.
that's Day of the Dead? Yeah,
Yeah, that is a good movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the zombie, but he must have been like former military because he like salutes at
Mm-hmm.
one of the army guys,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, he was so oh, I love that zombie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that. I like that one. I always watch that film. So, oh man. All right. So I had you do your list. Now it's time
What
for
is
me.
on yours?
I know what's on mine. Like I said, I realized that just from a younger age that I tend to go more towards sci-fi and creature horror. It's just what it is. I like if it's sci-fi and creature, I will watch it. That's why I watch so many bad things on Netflix because I look at the I look at the picture they have for the movie on Netflix, and then I'll see like some of the clips, and I'm like, huh, well, it's got an alien in it, so I guess I'll watch it. So yes, I've watched a lot of bad movies, but sci-fi has always been mine. So my number 5 is I was gonna I'm gonna save that. I'll save that for the honorable mention. So we mentioned it before, but number 5, Tremors.
Oh my God,
Yes,
dude, love Tremors.
Tremors.
Love Tremors.
Tremors is like I fucking like I talked about how I always watched that Kingdom of the Spiders movie. Tremors was the next movie I would watch all the time, man. I fucking loved it, man. You know what it did? It reminded me of the game you used to play on the playground with staying off the ground because the ground is lava. Because that's what they had to fucking do. It's like a terrifying. It's a terrifying movie because, and I'm noticing this with almost all the like, especially with my top 2. It's about the environment. So in the environment of Tremors, you know, it came in like 1990. Like they set the problem of, well, why don't you just go somewhere else? Well, they explain why. They're in the middle of nowhere. The only road out of town is blocked, and you know they need to get to higher ground and get away from to the mountains where these creatures can't bury through the ground. So it's like, and they have no way of getting there, And so it's a comedy, but it's also a horror film too. Because you're like, this is like one of the guys dies in the movie. Like I think it's the I can't remember if it was a farmer or one of the electrical workers. He dies because he climbed up this pole and wouldn't come down because he was too afraid. There's the one where the mom gets eaten in the car, and like the creature eats the car, and you hear like that's how they knew it was coming because they would hear the song on the radio. It's a horrifying movie. They went more towards comedy with the ones all the movies they made. I think they went out and made 4 of them.
Oh wow!
But they all went to more comedy.
The sparring between Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward in that movie, like there are quotes on quotes on quotes, man.
It's so good. I just love the way that cast works so well together because not even a lot of them. So yeah, that cast is great. Let's see, what is?
You can tell they had a good time making that film.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Number four. I watched this movie again last night because I wanted to see. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and I knew I liked it. The Fly.
Dude, I told you that. I told you that at the table. The Fly will still get you.
Yeah.
Man.
When you brought it up again, I was like, you know what? I actually loved that film growing up. Yeah.
When you don't see the edited TV version of that movie, oh
no, it's like
oh my gosh, like the effects on that it'll have you hugging yourself in a corner.
Yeah.
Another film that would do that. It's kind of like an American Werewolf in Paris, The Fly and The Thing have you in a corner.
Yeah. So the thing with The Fly is, one, it's just short. So I think this is one of the things that a lot of people miss when doing horror films. They're trying to make it too long. Like this movie is I think 86 minutes or something like that. It might be how long is this movie? Yeah, it's 96 minutes. So it's just over an hour and a half. And it moves pretty quickly. They don't do too much other stuff with it. And when you get to him actually changing, it is a horrifying sight.
Yeah.
Horrifying. Hey,
your retinas will start bleeding. Just looking at the horror on the screen. Yeah. I mean, who did the special effects on that movie? Because if they did not get Oscars for that, let me see. I'm gonna look that up.
Hey, give me a second. I'm gonna call you right back.
Okay.
I did not start that. Oh. Yeah, I don't know who did it, but again, not using a lot of CGI, very practical, and like I said, the parts where it gets into, oh my god, that's gross, when he starts having to throw up on the food to eat it. Oh my god!
God!
It is disgusting. And then when he does that to the other character. He does it to his hand and to his leg, and then tries to eat him. And then when he finally makes his last transformation into the fly creature, oh my god, he's pulling on her, she's pulling away. Gina Davis is pulling away from him, and like his skin is coming off as he. Yeah. His
arm comes off.
It is disgusting. It is a horrifying sight. It's also, it introduced me to Jeff Goldblum and his fucking his quirky ways, man. It's like, yeah, him and Gina Davis were great in that movie. Fucking love that. So that's number 4. Number 3, it falls, because I guess they say, and after saying it again, The Fly kind of falls into a romance horror film. Mm-hmm. This next one does too. Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yes! Woo! Yes. Love that. My God. Yes.
I had to actually go out and get it on Blu-ray because when this is one of those films that if it's on, I have to watch it.
You are watching it.
I have to watch it. We joke about Twilight making, vampires, these love-sick thing. But if you think about it, Dracula's story is always a romance story. But you can do it and make it terrifying, and that's what they do in this film. Like, in a way, Dracula almost becomes a sympathetic character in this movie, but he's also terrifying. He's fucking terrifying. And he's played by Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman set that shit all the way off. Man, he was hot. Oh my God, that gray suit. He was so fly.
Look,
oh man.
Listen to this cast. Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves. Monica Bellucci was one of the fucking Dracula brides. I completely forgot about that. Like, this film is just, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. The costumes were amazing. The armor that he wore in the beginning that looked like, actually it kind of looked like the suit from Jennifer Lopez wore in The Cell. And it might actually have been the same costume designer who did that, but I loved his armor. That was so awesome, and like it pops off the screen, but I've never seen anything like that. And that gray suit, man, Gary Oldman could get it. Yeah. His racist ass could totally get it.
Yeah, that
Keanu Reeves cannot act. He should not have been in that movie, though.
no. Like even at that point, you can see that he couldn't act. He was the downer in the movie, but you know what though? He was fine in the movie because he played a patsy. And that's pretty much what it is. He doesn't really do anything until the very end. He spends a lot of the movie getting sucked on and being used as a blood bag.
He getting sexually assaulted by female vampires.
Yeah, so there's that. So number one, number two should not be any secret for any people that know me, because I talk about these films all the time. So number two, I could have picked one, but to me, you gotta include them both in this. Alien and Aliens.
Yes.
That's just, I'm sorry.
I took Alien off of my list. Like, that was my number one, but I gave it to American Psycho. And it was so hard. It was so hard.
Again, when you think about when this film came out, the first Alien movie came out in 1979.
And it looks it.
Yeah. It looks it. But it still gives you, because it still gives you this film. Like, the thing that makes Alien and Aliens, both to me, such great movies, is the whole thing of the environment. They make it very claustrophobic, and you have no way of escape. There's nowhere for you to go, and now you're stuck. It kind of reminds me of the Xenomorphs. Remind me, I think Steven Spielberg modeled the Velociraptors and how he modeled them in Jurassic Park after the Xenomorphs. If you think about it, they play the same role. They're these unstoppable creatures that will kill you, and the only thing that can help you is a miracle. You know? Yeah. There's no stopping them. And it's such a terrifying thing. Like, the thing I love about the first Alien movie is it's only one of them. Then they up the ante and go into Aliens, and they're like, well, it becomes more of an action film, but it's still horrifying. I mean, that scene where they're walking in and they're like, they're walking into like the part of the station, and they're like, yeah, you guys can't use your weapons because you're under their reactor, so you have to use small arms fire. You're like, that's not going to end well. Just get out of there. And then, the whole the motion detector, the sound. It's just everything about this film. Like, you don't need to have great effects if you need to have sound. I think
look, if you start drooling right now, like that is the fact. Whenever the xenomorph just drools, like that alone, and then once it hits the ground, it starts to eat through the floor.
Yeah,
simple and terrifying.
Yeah,
because you don't see that coming. You're just like, okay, drool, silver titanium ass teeth. Oh, those are gonna hurt. But then when you see the acid just go through the floor, you're like, oh, that's gonna hurt. It's so much.
It is born in the most violent way possible. It bursts out of another living creature's chest. And from that moment on, it has acid for blood. And so even if you can kill it, you have to hope somehow that
nothing splashes on you.
Right. Or again, in the first movie, you're in space, so you got to hope it doesn't eat through something that's eats through the hole and puts you shit out of luck in the middle of space. So yeah. I mean that. So to me, again, I fucking love those two films. So that's number two for me. And then again, number one should be no surprise that anybody's talked to me about horror films. Everybody knows how I feel about this film, The Thing.
Yep.
It's just, I'm sorry. Again, it comes back to the environment. You are now in, the frozen tundra with no way, in the middle of a storm. You have no way to get out. And yeah, the creature itself is terrifying, but it's also the idea of the human element where you have no idea the person next to you is really them. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes that film so great. Is it them? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What are you going to do about it? It's like, you had to that scene where they're all tied up and they're testing the blood, and you're trying to guess who it is, and you don't know, they don't know. It's I fucking love that film. Love that film. 1982, still great. All right, so my honorable mentions. I mentioned this before. Critters. I couldn't figure out if I wanted to put Critters or if I wanted to put Tremors. I feel like Tremors is the better movie, but I have a soft spot for Critters.
Yeah, Tremors is the much better movie.
Yeah, it's a much better movie. So I couldn't justify putting Critters up there, but I love the first Critters movie because it's just they're balls of fur that eat everything in sight.
Yes, they're basically little gizmos.
I can't remember what film it is. Yeah, I can't remember what film it is. It was the first or second one where they actually form into one giant ball. And it was that cover that got me to watch that film. Like we talked about covers, it was a giant ball of all the critters, and they were like giant ball as one. And I was like, oh, they formed a giant ball. Oh, I'm going to watch that film then.
Oh my God, they presaged Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm. They really did.
They just came together.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Another honorable mention. Spielberg should actually do more horror films because he actually does really well. Jaws and Jurassic Park. I put them together. Jurassic Park. It just hit me. It just hit me when I was watching Jurassic World and I was feeling kind of lackluster about it. And it hit me that nobody's realized, because they don't even list the first movie as this. Nobody's realized that the first Jurassic Park is actually a fucking horror film. It is horrifying when you see some. Because when I watched Jurassic World, I realized that they were trying to recreate the scenes, but they were kind of rushing through the horror element. Like, when you watch the first Jurassic Park, the scenes that matter, like when the T-Rex breaks out, that's actually a long scene. Mm-hmm. And it's a repeated scene that goes on because it's such a horrifying scene. Like, there's a lot that goes on there, and you're just
and it builds up, too. Mm-hmm. Like, just seeing, like, a cup of water rippling, like, that simple shot is horrifying because you know some shit is about to happen and you have no idea the scale, but you know it's big because goddamn we're shaking.
Yeah, and that's why I think Spielberg gets horror films, because it's not just about showing the monster. He does the same thing in Jaws.
It's building up the suspense.
Like, Jaws, you don't see the monster, you don't see the shark that often, but what is it? It's the thought of it. It's the music. It's the environment. It's the shot. It's that feeling of dread you get. Like, Spielberg was so good at building that in you that you could feel. Like, there's a
when the T-Rex drops its foot, bruh.
Yeah. Well, and then he comes back. He keeps coming back to it. You think it's over, but then remember when they finally find Malcolm, they realize the T-Rex is back, and they have the T-Rex chasing after the fucking the Jeep, and it almost catches them. Mm-hmm. And you're like, holy shit!
Holy shit! Yeah, must go faster. Like, you are doing air brakes in your chair.
Mm-hmm. And then you had the scene with the raptors in the kitchen, where it keeps tapping his toe.
They were figuring out how to open up the doors. Mm-hmm.
He has them, like, when the raptor looks into the window and breathes into the glass, and there's these shots that they never really understood when they did the rest of the Jurassic Park movies, even Jurassic World. They made it bigger. They made it more action adventure and things like that. And it's like, no, dinosaurs are horrifying.
Yeah, you can't pussify dinosaurs.
Yeah,
you really can't. Because if they were here today, we would not be acting so cutesy about dinosaurs.
No, not at all. Not at all. So yeah, Spielberg.
I'm looking at the image of the T-Rex, of the foot, just the foot. Mm-hmm. And then you see Sam Neill and the girl, and the car is flipped over, and he's kind of holding her with his hand over her mouth. Mm-hmm. Like, that shot, that scene is scary as shit. It says so much, and like, you're like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, you feel like their terror.
Yeah, the entire film is like that. Remember, there's also when Dr. Sadler goes in to turn the electricity back on, but the raptors got out. Mm-hmm. And so she doesn't actually get attacked by the raptors. She actually doesn't get attacked by the raptors at all. But you keep actually no, she does eventually, but you keep thinking that it's going to happen and it doesn't, and then it happens all of a sudden. She's trying to get out, and then the Samuel L. Jackson's arm falls on her shoulder.
Yep.
Come on. Like, I'm sorry. You just.
By the way, that was kind of a bad effect. Like, that arm looks so fake.
Oh, yeah. It definitely wasn't his arm. You could tell. Not his arm. Another honorable mention I have, I bring this movie up all the time, but the original Night of the Living Dead. just because Dwayne Jones is still my hero for slapping a white woman in 1968.
Right?
He was the hero of the film. He was the hero of the. I mean, they shot him at the end, and I hate that part. But other than that, he was the only one that lived up until that point.
Dude, I hate the credits. I hate the end credits to that. Oh, it's so brutal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So gotta give a shout out to the end of Night of the Living Dead.
The 1990 remake is really, really good.
I think I've seen that.
With Tony Todd.
Yeah.
As Ben. I don't remember who played the girl in that, but they completely transformed her character, so she was definitely a strong female character. And Tom Savini directed that movie, so the special effects were on point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, I was looking it up, and there's just an article sitting right here about how casting. It was a big deal to cast a black actor for a lead role. And again, when I saw the original Night of the Living Dead, it came on, and I can't remember when I first saw it, and I didn't realize that the lead was going to be a black man. Like, I saw the black guy, and I was like, he's going to die. But I keep watching the film, like, he slaps a white woman, and he's actually intelligent, and he's like, when did this film come out?
Still alive?
And I was like, oh wow, it came out in 1960. Hey, yeah. So, and then the last one, I couldn't put this into my top 5. I know people hear me talk about this movie all the time. I couldn't put it in the top 5 because I feel like it doesn't really fit horror for me, but it takes from so much, and it just gives you that. If you love horror films, I feel like you have to love this film, Cabin in the Woods.
Yes.
I just feel
absolutely yes.
It has to be there. Like, to me, it's not really a horror film because Joss Whedon really wasn't trying. I mean, it is, but it's not. But it's more of a, hey, you guys, if you guys love horror, watch what we do here. And I love that fucking film.
And you know what? I actually stumbled across that movie because it was on Netflix. Actually, you know what? I know exactly when I watched it. It was New Year's Eve. And my mom and I and a few friends were having dinner. And we were looking for a movie to watch. And I'd heard of the movie, but I didn't know anything about it. And I was like, oh, well, let's try this. I heard good things. And man, that movie was so good.
Yeah. If you love horror films, Cabin in the Woods.
There were so many Easter eggs.
It's just one big Easter egg. I mean, you can just tell. I mean, if you've watched horror films all your life, I don't see how you can watch. Like, there were so many people who I remember when it first came out. People were like, oh, "I didn't get it," and I didn't like. I'm like, you don't get horror films in. Like, you're not a horror film fan.
You clearly don't watch any horror movies.
Because if you did, you would get it. It's just like, to me, everybody talks about the elevator scene, but the scene that does it for me is when they're in there and they're actually picking the different items. And I'm just cackling my ass off, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a scene from almost all these horror films that they do. It's just
yes. And then you have the nosy ass white girl that can't leave well enough alone.
Right.
You're like, bitch, put the book down. Put the book down.
Yes. Oh my god. I fucking.
And then you're just counting down till the black guy dies. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Jesse Williams, so hot. Oh my god.
Here's the thing. I felt bad.
Because you hated him for a time?
I did. But it was because of his Samsung shit, and I think he was on Grey's too. So I was just like, I can't respect you. But his whole
he is on Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. I don't watch it, but he's on
his whole coming out and being conscious. I'm like, so now when I see Cabin in the Woods, I feel bad when he dies because I'm like, damn. You actually are smart in real life too.
He has a podcast now. Did you know that?
Oh no, I didn't. Oh no.
Yeah, it's called Open Run. I think they do like a lot more sports stuff, but yeah, it's a good show to listen to. I listen to a lot of stuff that isn't always connected to y'all are Rod and Karen and and I don't really like sports. In fact, tennis is the only sport I identify as a sport. Everything else can, whatever. But yeah, I'll listen to it.
Awesome. I'm going to check that out. So, but yeah, so that is my
Don't
list.
come for me. Don't come for me about the sports comment, people.
Send all sports comments to. Let me stop. Yeah, so that's my list, and it was hard.